Picture this. It's the biggest game in all of club football, the Champions League final, and your team is down 3-0 at halftime. It's basically over, right? Well, that's the exact spot Liverpool found themselves in back in 2005, a night so completely unbelievable it's now just known as the Miracle of Istanbul.
So how does a football match earn a title like Miracle? What on earth actually happened on May 25, 2005 that took it from a game to a full-blown legend? How do you turn a guaranteed loss into maybe the greatest comeback the sport has ever seen? That's what we're going to get into.
All right, so the stage is set at the Ataturk Olympic Stadium in Turkey. In one corner, you've got the Italian Titans, AC Milan. I mean, this team was just dripping with European pedigree, a lineup of absolute superstars. And in the other corner, the English challengers, Liverpool. This was way more than just a final. It was a classic David versus Goliath story just waiting to happen.
And if you just looked at the two teams on paper, it looked like a total mismatch. Milan were the heavy favorites. These guys were seasoned veterans, this was their 10th final, and their team was packed with living legends. Liverpool, on the other hand, were kind of the scrappy underdogs. Honestly, they'd surprised everyone just by making it this far. And you have to understand the stakes for Liverpool were absolutely huge. They'd actually finished 5th in the Premier League that year, so this wasn't just about lifting a trophy. They had to win this game just to get back into the Champions League next season. Some people, like Arsenal's manager Arsene Wenger, thought they had a shot. But even one of their own players, Jamie Carragher, admitted their squad wasn't what it used to be. The pressure was just immense. So, the whistle blows, the match kicks off, and any hope of a close game just seemed to evaporate almost instantly. What we saw instead was a first-half masterclass from AC Milan. A total demolition. That first half was just a brutal display of how dominant Milan could be. I mean, they scored inside the very first minute, a beautiful volley from their legendary captain, Paolo Maldini. Then, right before the halftime whistle, their striker, Hernan Crespo, piles on the misery, scoring 2 more goals in just 5 minutes. It was an absolute clinic. So, yeah, at halftime, the scoreboard read 3-0. In a Champions League final against a team as good as AC Milan, a 3-goal lead isn't a mountain to climb. It's considered impossible. The game was, for all intents and purposes, completely over. But then, something happened. Something shifted. The second half started, and what took place over one breathtaking, chaotic 6-minute stretch is the very reason we are still talking about this match almost 2 decades later. Even Milan's own manager, the great Carlo Ancelotti, had no explanation for it. He just called it 6 minutes of madness. You can hear the shock in his voice, right? Even the man in charge of the team that was just collapsing in front of his eyes couldn't believe what he was seeing. Okay, so check this out. At 54 minutes, the captain, Steven Gerrard, gets one back with a header. That was the spark. Just 2 minutes later, Vladimir Schmitzer lets one fly from long range, and it goes in. Suddenly, you can feel the belief. And then, 4 minutes after that, Liverpool get a penalty. Abi Alonso takes it, it's saved, but he follows it up and smashes in the rebound. 3-0 becomes 3-3 in 6 minutes. It was just unbelievable. And right at the center of it all was Liverpool's captain, Steven Gerrard. He was the one who scored that first goal, the one that lit the fuse. And it was his relentless drive into the box that won them the penalty for the equalizer. He just refused to let his team die, and he was, without a doubt, the man of the match. After that complete whirlwind of emotion, this kind of weird calm fell over the stadium. Milan was just in total shock. Liverpool was running on pure adrenaline. The whistle blew on 90 minutes, score locked at 3-3. So now, the match was headed into a brutal 30 minutes of extra time. The comeback wasn't finished yet. And in that extra time, Milan had one last golden opportunity to win it all. We're in the 117th minute. Their star striker, Andrei Shevchenko, gets 2 shots from point-blank range. And somehow, Liverpool's goalkeeper, Jerzy Dudek, makes an incredible double save that he himself later called the save of my life. That right there kept the dream alive. So, after 120 minutes of absolutely insane football, a 3-3 scoreline, it all came down to this. The ultimate test of nerve. A penalty shootout to decide the champions of Europe. Milan stepped up first. Serginho misses, blasts it over. Then Dudek saves the next one from Pirlo. Meanwhile, Liverpool calmly scored their first 2. Milan's next 2 takers scored, but so did Liverpool's Schmitzer. And that brought up Andrei Shevchenko,
the man who won the final for Milan back in 2003. He had to score to keep Milan's hopes alive.
And Dudek saved it. He stopped Shevchenko's penalty, and just like that, it was over. The impossible had actually happened. Against every odd, Liverpool were champions of Europe.
Now, the victory itself was obviously historic, but the legacy of that night in Istanbul, well, it became about so much more than just winning a trophy. It became a story.
When the team came home, they were met by a literal sea of red. An estimated 1 million people poured onto the streets of Liverpool for the victory parade. This wasn't just a win for a club, it was a moment of incredible pride for an entire city that just lives and breathes football.
And this particular win came with something extra special. You see, it was Liverpool's 5th European Cup. That meant they got this multiple winner badge, and even better, under the rules back then, they got to keep that beautiful trophy forever. They were actually the very last club to ever get that honor.
The shockwaves from this match went all around the world. Even the great Diego Maradona was completely captivated. He said that Liverpool proved that miracles really do exist. He said it showed why football is the most beautiful sport and that he'd made Liverpool his English team from then on. I mean, coming from Maradona, that's pretty high praise.
And that, really, is the lasting legacy. Just as the journalist Henry Winter put it, Remember Istanbul became a kind of rallying cry. It's shorthand for hope, for never ever giving up, for believing that the impossible might just be possible, even when you're 3 goals down in the biggest game of your life.
So when you look back at the Miracle of Istanbul, what does it really tell us about sports? Is it the incredible skill, the nail-biting drama, or is it something more, like the raw power of belief against all possible odds that makes a moment like this truly unforgettable?